The world of Resident Evil has been a staple of the survival horror genre since 1996, and since the time of recording, that's almost a quarter of a century. Not only has it defined the genre for many years to come, along with games like Alone in the Dark, Amnesia, and Silent Hill, it also proved it could evolve and adapt with its audience over time. We have gone from the tank controls and fixed camera angles of the original trilogy and Code Veronica to the over-the-shoulder camera of Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, and the Revelations games. And then more recently, the first-person camera view of Resident Evil 7. But the one constant that has been part of almost every Resident Evil has been the undead horde of zombies, looking to consume all in their path. While they have been put down time and time again, they have changed and adapted as the series has gone on. So let's take a look at how these rotting corpses have changed over the years, and still being one of the most recurring threats in the world of Resident Evil. But since this is such a big subject to cover, this will be the first in a 3-part series, covering the evolution of zombies. Be aware this video will contain Resident Evil spoilers throughout. The first time we encounter a zombie takes place in the Spencer Mansion in the R.E.T.I.N.A mountains of Raccoon City. Upon hearing a gunshot, you explore a nearby dining room and come to a hallway leading to a small seated area. The floor creaks as you cautiously step towards a hunched figure upon the ground. You notice another figure spasming beneath them. The person before you is bald and their clothing blood-stained and dishevelled. Then you hear a sickening crunch as the figure bites down on the throat of the twitching body beneath them. They stop. Their head slowly turns, and those pale, ghostly eyes see you, and the figure's mouth drips with warm blood across the floor. This moment was the perfect introduction to your main foe, the zombies. But we must ask, how did the zombies first come to be? What could turn a normal human being into a bloodthirsty and aggressive mutant, intent on consuming human flesh? The first zombies were created by the Umbrella Corporation, a global pharmaceutical company using money made from everyday activities to illegally create bioorganic weapons, or BOWs for short. Most BOWs were created as a result of the Tyrant virus, also known as the T virus. The initial T virus, the alpha strain, was created after mixing the progenitor virus with leech DNA, as done by James Marcus, one of the original founders of the Umbrella Corporation. But the infection and mortality rates were deemed too low for this virus. In 1978, newly recruited Umbrella scientist William Birkin helped develop a new strain of the T virus, the beta strain. This was developed by taking the alpha strain, created by James Marcus, and combining it with the RNA of the Ebola virus. This not only allowed the infection and lethality of the virus to be increased, but it also allowed for the mutation of humans into the very first zombies. The remaining 10% of survivors who were immune to the T virus would end up being killed by the zombies. Umbrella would use the beta strain of the T virus in their gene splicing experiments. They would combine the T virus with reptilian DNA and human embryos. This would give them their first major BOW, the Hunters. These would be used to kill off any remaining survivors who would be immune to the T virus as well. The side effects of the T virus infection were a severe form of necrosis, giving the subject an undead appearance, very low intelligence, the ability to vomit stomach acid, and increased aggression with a compulsion to eat flesh. Unlike traditional zombies of Haitian folklore, these were not controlled by a higher power and used as slave labour. Zombies could overwhelm most people easily when their numbers grew large enough. They could ignore injuries like stabbing wounds, gunshots, and in extreme cases, explosions causing loss of limb. Not everyone bitten by a zombie would turn due to a natural immunity to the T virus. Those who were bitten received the T virus via secondary infection and would turn in a matter of hours depending upon their own immune system. This process would be severely delayed in the cases of Jill Valentine and Marvin Branner, who both survived exposure without turning in the space of days. While the basic zombie would be nothing more than an irritant to people like Jill or Chris, they would be deadly to others, and they would only become more lethal when a new mutation reared its head. The T virus would be developed further and a new strain would be introduced, the Epsilon strain. This would be used as part of Umbrella's ultimate bioweapons project, the Type T-102 Tyrant. But during an incident with the T virus in 1998, a new side effect was discovered when zombies were created with the Epsilon strain. If a zombie became incapacitated through significant injury, then through a process called V-Act, a zombie could mutate further. They would develop long claws, move faster, ignore more injuries, and gain a red hue to their skin from their heart pumping blood faster around their body. Umbrella scientists dubbed these creatures the Crimson Heads. The first Crimson Head was a scientist who was infected with the T virus and was observed and experimented on. After an incident where 4 Umbrella scientists were all killed by this creature, it was then frozen and sealed inside a sarcophagus. This was left suspended inside an underground chamber inside the Spencer Mansion graveyard. This would be used to deter any unauthorized visitors to the Umbrella facility. The Crimson Head was entombed with a copy of the Spencer emblem. 2 of these were created. 1 was needed to gain access to the courtyard, and 2 would be needed to gain access to the underground lab via the mansion. This would mean that unauthorized visitors would have to fight the Crimson Head in order to gain access to the lab or the courtyard. After the T virus escaped into the Spencer Mansion, most of the scientists, security staff, and the groundsmen of the mansion became infected with the Epsilon strain of the T virus. So the Ecliptic Express train, the Umbrella Management Training Facility, and James Marcus's underground lab had also become saturated with the T virus. But because none of the zombies became Crimson Heads, it is likely they were infected with the beta strain of the T virus found inside the mutated leeches created by James Marcus. T virus leeches would end up attacking the Ecliptic Express train and also in turn infect the Umbrella Management Training Facility. During the Spencer Mansion incident involving both Alpha and Bravo team of stars, many of the zombies became Crimson Heads. Once the surviving STARS member escaped via helicopter, the mansion, training facility, and underground labs were all destroyed, and that was believed to be the end of the threat of the T virus. But this would only be the beginning of the end for the nearby town of Raccoon City. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Evolution of Zombies Part 1. Please comment below and discuss your thoughts and theories on early development of the zombie BOWs. Don't forget to like and share this video, and subscribe and ring the bell to stay notified. I'll be back again in Part 2, where we will look at the events of the Raccoon City incident, and then on to the Terra Grigia panic. Thank you, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon.